Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Why don't people, or more people, or some people, speak up? Why don't people, or I know a lot of people, who avoid engaging in conversations or saying what they really think about political issues, social issues? That's not a mark of a free person. And why? Well, some people just don't want to hear about it. Some people are not interested. I met this kind of people that don't really want to know anything about social science or social issues, like political and all that. And some people do not have the ability, the call to speak or to discuss or to debate. I put those to the side. But in general, let's say you have people who like to do that, they have the ability, but they get engaged in self-censorship. That is, you would say something, how you see things, the way you see it, but you don't say it. Or you just water it down. Why is that? Well, my direct and simple answer is because they're afraid. They are afraid. Okay, let's go. Why are you afraid? Well, I'm afraid because of the consequences of saying what I really think about an issue. But what do you mean? What consequences? Well, the consequences could be that, for instance, you lose your job. That's one. You lose some people who you thought they were your friends, and if you thought they were your friends and get offended because you are a free person and you say whatever you feel, that means what you think, that means they are not your friends. You may be attacked verbally, you may be attacked physically, so you're afraid. That's the main thing, of the consequences of your speech. Well, if you are afraid of the consequences and you are not doing it, you're not pursuing, that means you're not free. You're not a free person. And then that's the first issue that I wanted to point out. But the second one is, who are these entities that you're afraid of? Well, the entities are made out of people. So you're afraid of people who form entities, organizations, jobs. Who are those people? Well, they're free people. Can they speak up? Some of them, yes. They can speak whatever they want on certain issues without repercussions, but you can't. Who are those people? Well, some people. Some of them are, 27-year-old, some of them 35 years old. And obviously when you pass a certain age, you look back and you look at a 27-year-old or a 35-year-old as old people like me know exactly what I'm talking about. And they sometimes have the power to provide you with the consequences of your freedom of speech that they don't like. It's not that you're hurting someone. They don't like your interpretation of reality, the ideology that has to be dogma. What should we do? Well, the problem is when something like this occurred in a free society, people tend to separate. And people tend to flock to people who have the same ideas and the same way of thinking, and you have the other ones. And that's going to be a separation. And the more or the bigger the consequences of your speech that they are, the bigger the tension between the two groups. And who's going to be in power will cause big problems for the other ones that are not in power. At that particular point, this thing will not go in the right direction in any way possible, where you have certain people that you are afraid of to speak because of the consequences that could be yielded or done against you. Who are those people? Well, definitely there are people who are against free speech, narrow-minded, and really, how should I put it, against our civilization. Why am I saying civilization? Because if you can't express yourself, if you can't speak about certain kind of subjects or all subjects freely without being afraid of consequences, negative consequences coming from certain people that do not like what you said, not that what you said is, I don't know, threatening. I'm not talking about that kind of speech. Threatening or, instigating to violence. I'm not for that. I'm against that, obviously. But it's not about that. If I ran now, or someone else, will start talking about a topic, and I would just tell you my assessment of, or my opinion of something. All right? If you go to work, you go to the office, and you say something, your opinion on something, they might be wrong. They're wrong. What should happen? You should have someone who disagrees with that and let you know your opinion is wrong and has to prove using this that is wrong and help you understand what is right or what he or she thinks is right. This is going to help you understand the issue. But if you ban that person, if you punish that person like a tyrant, then you're going to have tyranny. And it's very strange that there's there are some subjects that you really censor yourself, but the other group will not censor itself on that issue, or other people, other groups. And the same works the other way. Don't get me wrong, because we have small people on all sides. It's just that if we, as free humans, allow ourselves to be monitored and limited and oppressed by this freedom of speech commissars, then this is not going to go right. It's not going to go right because it's going to escalate. Today they just frown upon what you say. Next day they're going to say something. Next day they're going to ask you and they're going to call you out and say, hey, this is going to happen if you do it again. Negative consequences. Next one, you're going to get fired. Next one, you maybe going to get indicted. The next one, maybe you're just going to be legally, physically hurt. Next time, maybe you're going to just be gone to the gulags. Okay? There's an escalation that you saw it in other societies that occurred fast or in time. Here, it takes time, but it's an accelerate. It's not a... It's not a linear equation here, okay? It doesn't, okay, it's a constant. No, it's not. It's an accelerated one. Anyway, I had to say this because when I make these videos here, I have to pay attention what kind of words I say, how I look at certain things, and I know I'm really not, I'm not free. And it's not that I'm here to cause harm or to create problems. Probably they see it as creating problems, obviously, because I rock their boat. But it's not their boat, it's our boat. That's the problem. But it's not, it sometimes is really, I feel like vomiting. Really, when I realized that I made a few videos where I just reported what an article said. I didn't make any assessment of the particular subject, on the particular subject. Nothing. I didn't dare to do it. I want to convey that to you, but if I knew that if I would start analyzing that and I would give my personal assessment or opinion as a free person, you would not have heard from me for a week or so. And who knows what else. My message would have not been sent to you via this. I'm not going to go into this as a private institution. That's even if it's a private institution, you can't be tyrannical. I mean, you know what I mean? But it seems like we allow that to happen. We who? The free people. So sometimes I feel, many times, and I gotta tell you, in almost all my videos, I hold back so much of not saying extra things, but to give my analysis of that, my logical analysis, based on the evidence, I can't put it together and say, okay, this is what I believe based on how I analyze the information from the article. I can't. So sometimes I give, unless I speak their way. When I speak their way, I can speak how much I want, be how verbally expressive I want, because I know I'm safe. The subject and the side I'm picking, according to them, is the good one. So they let me go all the way. But if I use the same logic, the same way of expressing my conclusions on another subject that they disagree with, done. You can't even touch that. Well, that's not freedom whatsoever. And we're told we're free and so on. Yeah, we're free. But then the consequences. But that means what kind of freedom that is. And what I'm saying, this is not anything that would cause harm. It's an intellectual expression of my thoughts, about the subject. No, you can't have that. If you have it differently, they will not hear from you. And remember, who do you think is on the other side analyzing this? A genius? I very much doubt that, because if a genius would be on my side, or even better, you know what I mean? Working for freedom of speech and all that. A genius in this kind of matter cannot be, someone that, if you disagree with this, not being spectacles but being bicycles, you are done. We're gonna consequences. Really? That's just an analogy. But they will take it as this and this and this and that. Why? Because thank you very much for being with me again today. I had to say this because I feel saying this really every day after each of my videos, almost. And as I said, there are not dangerous thoughts or dangerous ideas. It's just a different take on issues. We can debate it. And do you think that the other sides tell the truth, give you a complete view on all issues? No. So how come they are allowed to speak without knowing, or with a limited amount of information, but others are not? Because they go, well, it's just, I think I live it here, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not here to hurt, and I'm not an ignorant saying, oh well, my speech someone will hurt something. I mean, like, if you go like that, any book that was written could be interpreted by an idiot and used for stupid stuff. Even my shirt right here is the color of blood. Some idiot that can look at it and say, oh, that's a symbolism right there, Emil. Are you sending a message? Bam. I mean, everything could be like that. Or, I don't know, my watch looks familiar to, I don't know, whose watch, what kind of crimes he committed. Does it mean I'm supporting that? By some people's narrow, they could say whatever they want. You understand? Of course you understand. You understand, because you are with me still here, and I'm in the 14th minute of my video. Otherwise, you would have tuned out a long time ago, or right now you would just be angry with me and saying, let's see what else he has to say. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.